Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today, I'm going to do a little bit more work on the hot rod. So, the keen-eyed among you will notice there's a big hole in the dashboard where some instruments should be. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the sending units nor functional instruments for this. I do actually have the original cluster that goes in there, but everything's broken, the glass is cracked, so not really worth reusing. So we're going to do something a little bit custom, a little bit basic, just to get some instrumentation in there. I'd like to know my oil pressure, coolant temp, all that normal stuff. So we're going to do that. So one thing to note, I'm going to just be dealing with the gauges today, but I should have some sending units with them. This right here is the coolant sender. That right there is the oil pressure sender, or at least that's where they go. I'm pretty sure the new gauges I got came with new ones, so I'm just going to be swapping those out. And I've got some wires in here from the wiring harness kit that'll go to those. But just to let you know, that's what's going on. Also, there isn't really a carburetor on here anymore. I took that off because I needed to loan it out to work because we needed it to test it on a different car. So I volunteered my carburetor because I had one spare. But that will also make it a little bit easier to get to those. So that was kind of my planning. So let's check out those gauges. So this is what I got. A basic 3-gauge kit ordered off the internet for like 25 bucks. I'm assuming they're going to be plastic, and anything that looks like chrome is just fake. And then additionally, I picked this guy up. This is a fuel gauge, and it kind of matches, so hopefully it's not too dissimilar. So I'm basically going to mount these 4 gauges onto a piece of sheet metal that's going to live inside that dash. And then I also have this guy. This is an old gauge that I did have in the Blazer, but it's not quite correct for the Blazer. So I went back to the original. Obviously the gauges, the needle's broken on it, but I'll try to figure that out. But basically this will live in the center, and then we'll have these guys flanking it. So we're just going to see what it looks like. So we're going to take some measurements, cut some steel, and kind of lay it out. But so basically these are not going to stay in the little stupid chrome housing thing. Let's check this out. So that looks like a sender for something. These should all be electric. I'll lose my hardware. I'm going to assume that this looks like coolant temp. This looks like an oil pressure. There's that little orifice there, means this is a pressure gauge. And this looks like a temp gauge. And you can, I guess we have to kind of break this off, but see the cardboard. We'll get these guys out anyway. An oil pressure gauge. That one's very important. So these guys, you might think these are going to be the wires to the actual gauges. They're not. These are just for the illumination. But in here we've got a negative, a positive, and an S. S for sender. So that's how you wire it up. Basically these are threaded, and you just put a little ring terminal on there for each of those. So we're going to wire that in later, but once we figure out the layout. So this is how you would mount them if you were just adding them as additional gauges to your normal car. Funny thing was, I was just working on a Nash Metropolitan, and it has none of these gauges, so someone would usually get this, stick it underneath, and then you'd actually have some instrumentation. Fun fact about the Nash Metro, it has a speedometer and a fuel gauge. That's your only instrumentation. They're fun, quirky little cars, but I'll put a picture of one that I worked on if you're curious. Anyway, I'm going to pull the dash out of the truck, just the whole dash. That way we can make some measurements and work a little easier than if we were, you know, under the truck. And then I'm also going to kind of crimp everything together and make and use my connector kit. So we've got a quick release connector for the whole instruments. That'll also make life a lot easier. Alright, so there we go. Got a piece of steel stuck in the middle. There's a stud on each side, so I just drilled a hole. It's 13-inch centers, and the middle is about a foot wide, so it's about 12 inches. Height's about 4.5 inches, and I made this just a little bit bigger, so I've got some edge so that you can't kind of see through it. I've marked a rough center line, because that's going to be where our main speedometer is going to go. Obviously it's going to be too big to fit, but I am going to have it kind of recessed underneath so you don't see it. Additionally, we've got our other guys. They're going to probably sit there and there, or there and there. I'm leaning more towards this kind of like triangle shape as opposed to like a W shape. So we'll see how it goes. So actually, we'll see about turn. Oh yeah, I'm going to go with the triangle shape, and I'm going to put my turn signals in the far corners. I'm not going to be dealing with the turn signals just yet. Today we're just doing gauges, but I do want to plan ahead for future projects. So there we go. This blob shape is the speedometer. I may end up using that one, or I might get something else. I've got those laid out, just need to trace them. This is the rough circle that I'm going to have exposed. So that's why I'm not too concerned about going into the blob shape, because I can always kind of trim that back just to let it, you know, do its thing. I also do need to figure out how to get some lighting into that, because things are going to be set up a little bit different than it was in, you know, in the Blazer. But this is my rough layout, so I'm just going to trace those, see if I can't track down a hole saw. I don't know if I actually have one, so I might have to go find one. Track down a hole saw, and then get to mounting them. And as far as the layout goes, I'm not fully sure which one's going to go where. I'll think about that. But in general, you want your two most important gauges are going to be the closest ones. So I'll probably have, we'll say, oil pressure and temp in the middles. So those guys. And then I'll have probably fuel on the left and voltage on the right. So I guess I did just figure out what my layout's going to be. But these are, so this is about what we're going to look at. These are kind of rough. I'm going to make some measurements and make this a little more precise, and then center mark the holes. So like the middle guy, I've got a little crosshair there. That's the dead middle of this window, because that's where I want my gauge. So yeah, we're just going to do that for these guys and keep plugging away. so there we go. Got the holes for the small gauges cut out, and I've marked out a center. The gauges I'm looking at are 85 millimeters in diameter, so scribed a line and then kind of traced it so you can see it. This is a little bit smaller than 85 millimeters, that way I can trim it. Unfortunately, I don't have a hole saw of the correct size. This is the closest I've got. Everything else is way too big. So we're going to use this, and then I'm going to use one of these little flappy guys on a die grinder to just kind of sneak up on that corner. Or not corner, but the edge of the circle. So, yeah, let's go cut that out. I guess it broke itself out. A little bit of a scar right there. The good thing is I might actually end up flipping this around. I was planning on that anyway, since when I laid out the main gauge, it you know, it would have been from the back side, so that's okay. And also, if I can touch that up, I can touch it up, but that's pretty deep. So I'm definitely going to be using this side. Clean up that rust. But yeah, let's kind of see what get that a little bit smoothed out, and then we'll see what the gauges look like. So I still have to trim this guy a little bit, but you can sort of see what we're going for. Obviously this is a black background and the others are white. I kind of don't mind that too much. It actually looks pretty good. But that's going to be, well, that's going to be my instrument layout. I am going to make a little piece that goes around here that welds in. Kind of, I thought about doing a full rectangle, but I think I'm going to just do like some triangle bits and then a straight bit and some triangle bits, make a nice little hood that covers it, just to stiffen it up and give it some more character. But that's about it for the gauges. Now we've got to just hook them up. Okay, so I didn't film this, but I took some flat bar, some little 1/8 inch flat bar, folded it up for the correct width. But then I angled it a little bit and cleaned it up and then welded it on. And that kind of made the rest of the cluster. Then I hit it with some paint, and by paint I mean clear, because I thought the kind of, you know, raw, rough turned look was pretty good. So now I've got the gauges installed and it's ready to get wired up and go in the truck. And if you were wondering about the speedometer, I just trimmed the corners with with a pair of tin snips. We had this hole right there, so I just drilled a hole to the front. I thought it would be hidden, turns out it's not, so oh well. Maybe I'll put another one there for symmetry. And on the top side, I just welded a quick little tab on so that it slips under and is bolted on down there. And that is how we're going to run our older GM speedometer. I did cut that hole to the correct size for an aftermarket gauge. I may use one of those. It's got a speedometer in it, and it also has a tack inside the speedometer, so I think that's pretty cool. But for now, I don't think I'm really going to have a speedometer hooked up for any amount of time, at least anytime soon. So this will be kind of a dummy placeholder just to kind of get the layout. And if I do end up hooking it up, I do have the cables, the clips, and everything else. It'll definitely not be accurate, so I might have to send it out for that. But it will occupy the hole and make the dash look a little more normal. Alright, there we go. Got everything wired up. I have 5 wires going into a 6-wire plug. The main reason for that is because I may want to expand this later, so I might put the tack right there, because right now this thing doesn't have a tack. I may go for a tack that lives inside a speedometer and get rid of this. So I'm leaving that option. For now, I might just run the tack somewhere to the middle of the dash. So I'm going to leave that wire long. Obviously I don't have a tack right now. But this is pretty much ready to go. I've got a couple little loops like here and here. Those are going to go around the posts to ground the whole thing. So, okay, that's about it. So all I gotta do is get this guy back in the dashboard, get the dashboard back in the truck, hook everything up, and we'll see if it works. Also, I've started adding some loom to everything, so everything that's in black is good to go. Got my plug right there for the headlights, got another plug right there for the instrument cluster. One of these is for a tack, the other one is for a clock. I don't know what I'm going to do with that just yet. I don't have a clock, but it never hurts. I might put one in later. All of the ones that are still rainbow spaghetti, these are all things I'm not going to use. So there's power seats, power windows, cruise control. I'm not going to deal with that. So they're tied up out of the way for now. I may de-pin them, or at least cut them from the fuse block, but I haven't really decided on that yet, so they're going to stay right there for now. That one is radio, so I might put a radio in this later, so I'm going to keep those pretty accessible. And another one floating around here somewhere is dome light, which I'm definitely going to use. I just don't have a dome light yet, because that's the roof skin. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna get that in, and we'll see if she works. Alright, so there we go. Got the plug all wired in and hooked up. Got the gauges installed. Turn it on, and you can see we've got a quarter tank of gas. Kind of low voltage, around 11 volts. Temp is low because, well, it's not running. Oil pressure is also low because it's not running. But that is it. One downside, so these 3 gauges were ordered as a set. This one was ordered separately. These all have white lights, and that one's red. So when I turn it on, these have normal lights, and that one's got a red backlight. So I might have to do something about that, but not really sure what to do for now. But it is working. I may just end up with a different fuel gauge and use that for something else. I don't know. But yeah, so they are in there. Alright, that's going to be it for today. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.